and that is Push Silver. And they give a voice to our elders, and they insisted that this building is actually intergenerationally programmed. So a little bit, before I tell you about how we acquired this building, I wanted to talk a little bit about the work that we do collectively in Buffalo. It's called Just Transition. And Just Transition is really all of these principles represented, and how do we get out of this very extractive economy with a consumerist and colonial mindset into a regenerative economy that is about healing people and the planet. And we have a certain series of principles that we use, very much represented in the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. I have to read them, and they're really great. Basically, how do you get to a just transition? We have to shift economic control to communities. We have to democratize wealth and the workplace so they can stop extracting our labor. We have to advance ecological restoration, drive racial justice and social equity, relocalize most production and consumption, retain and restore cultures and traditions. And as you heard Brother Alex and others before me, the FB Community Land Trust, it is us trying to take control of our resources. And that is how Push Buffalo was started back in 2005, is help is not coming, everyone has forgotten about us. So what can we do on our own to revitalize our own community for ourselves and take back the land and the means of production? And so Push started with 400 residents of Buffalo that came together and created a vision for what did they want their community to look like. What were the things that we wanted, that we needed, where we live? We often say in our work that the people that are closest to the problem actually have the best solutions. The problem is the wealth is so enclosed at the top, it's really difficult to get those resources. So what would we do? We shake the trees and bring all those resources down to the grassroots, and then we get to decide for ourselves what we want to build, what are the things that we need where we live. So I'm going to take you to 2014. We have our annual community congress in which over 200 of our members show up. We blow up the maps in our community and say, tell us about the derelict properties, tell us about what it is that you want, what you need. Very quickly, everybody goes to Zone 8. So this is Zone 8 in our organizing district. And everyone kept saying, School 77, School 77. There are developers that are driving by every day and we see them. And you have to take control of this building or they will get it. And so we're like, okay, School 77, that was the priority for that year. Push Buffalo had no idea how we were going to take control of this building or, move past it. But we said, you know what, I loved it. Our previous executive director and founder, Aaron Bartley, said to me, let's just do the best we can. And that was enough. So we sent our 3 members that were in the organizing department, and they hit the streets. They had a little postcard that basically said, what is your name? What is your address? Do you want Push Buffalo to take control of this building? Check yes or no. And if we do, what do you want to see in it? And within a month, we had over 600 postcards. Yes. So we walked that over to Dave Rivera's office, plopped the cards on his desk. He picked them up, and he took them over to Community Planning and Development and said, the community has spoken. We have to put a moratorium on development of this building for 1 year until they can figure out what it is that they want to do and if they actually have the means to do it. So we're organizers. We get to planning. We didn't let it stop us that we didn't own the building, that we had no idea where the money was going to come from. We just kept building. And we build it with our members. They tell us, we steward whatever decisions have to be made. So I'm going to keep it short because I only have 5 minutes. Over a 2-year period, we did nothing but engage the local community about how do we take control of this building and what do you really want to see? Because y'all can imagine, we had over 600 comment cards and over 800 things that they wanted in this building. But through community planning, because we have to use criteria. Can we do this in 12 months? Can we raise the money? Do we have the capacity to do that? Is this something that the community really wants and really needs? And so we know we need more housing. We need more quality, affordable housing in this community because 80% of the folks here rent. Said, okay, great, so we're gonna put housing. What do y'all wanna see for housing? A lot of community members came up. There were 3 top things. They wanted a big need in the community was senior housing. Another big need was to any aging youth out of group homes, they needed housing. The other thing that they wanted was housing for the chronically homeless. So we said, okay, so we bring in another partner because we don't know everything, but we know other people have the information. So we got those folks. List Buffalo came, and what they were able to do is say, well, if you want senior housing, you can get between 30 and 35 units, and it's going to cost you $15 million. If you want to do the other kind of housing for aging youth, it's going to be about $30 million. And you need a social service agency to live here full-time because y'all need to be open 24 hours a day. We didn't have that capacity. Then the other thing that was needed was for the chronically homeless. That was, again, going to be about $45 million. The reality is, that seemed like a real big stretch. So we have to do the things that we can do. We know that there was a real need and a desire to do senior housing, and that was going to be the most affordable, and we thought we could raise that money in 12 months. Next thing that happens is, well, the community wanted the auditorium to be some kind of a performance center. They wanted all kinds of other, businesses and so forth to get here. And push being push, even though we're a housing organization, we had 3 different office locations. Our, folks were a couple of miles away, so we had to keep bouncing back and forth to the office just to see our coworkers and get some work done. So we knew that Push needed to bring all of its staff under one roof. So we said, Push Buffalo is going to go in there. So we kind of put our stake on the ground. And then we got very quickly to try to identify out of the, 400 different potential partners that we could have, who can really go in here. So the membership created a criteria. Let me tell you what that criteria was for having the other folks that would live in the building with us. The questions that the community asked for were, do they serve local neighborhood residents or local young people? Are they an arts or cultural organization that reflects the diversity of the community? Are they a not-for-profit or for-profit business? If it is for-profit, is it affordable to local neighborhood residents? Do they provide a service that is not already being met on the west side? Do they provide opportunities for local hiring? So we had several applicants that applied, and the membership selected who the other residents would be in here with us, which is, of course, Ujima Company and Peace of the City that serves the Buffalo Public School students from the time they're in kindergarten until they graduate from high school. Other kinds of things. So Push became the sole developer, and we were fortunate enough to actually buy this building from the city. We were able to raise the funds to develop this building. But we're not going to just stop there. What are other community benefits that we can have for our community? Because outside of housing, the next big priority for this community is finding quality jobs for people that are unemployed, underemployed, coming out of prison, our youth, but to upskill them in enterprises that could pay them a living wage, a family-sustaining wage. So we took out a community benefit with ourselves and said, at minimum, we must have at least 10 of our hiring hall workers that we train help build this building. People that live in this community can tell you what part of this building they built. Other things that our elders wanted once we decided on senior housing, on the 3rd floor was just a balcony. So they wanted a green infrastructure, green area that they can walk around in that would also be handicap accessible. So it's got a beautiful rain garden, which is also a stormwater management catchment system to address our combined sewer overflow. We also decided that the entire landscape of this building was built by 16 to 21-year-olds that were learning how to do green infrastructure installations and could actually take green infrastructure classes and get certified, a national certification. There's only one person in the country that can do that, in the state of New York, and he happens to work for us. And we just... And there's only 21 in the entire country. There's only 338 people that are certified to do this work. We certified the first 3 this summer. The first woman, the first Moor, and just a white guy. But, so we have some diversity. But we hope to do more and more of that. Other kinds of things that happened as far as like the building goes is that we wanted intergenerational programming. That was very important to our youth as well as our elders. So this gymnasium is actually programmed by Push Buffalo. And during the day, you might see senior Pilates. And then in the evening, you might see a basketball game with our young folks. We have a wonderful community space, again, designed by the residents that is open to the community for us to meet in. It's open to the residents that live upstairs from us. And the last thing I'm going to say that is so incredibly beautiful is we are Push Buffalo. We have a membership organization. We believe in doing environmental justice and addressing racial climate issues, racialized climate issues, and housing, land use. But our Push elders, Push Silver, what they've done is they've taken it upon themselves to find programming for the seniors that live upstairs. So things like Senior Companion, making sure that there is transportation to take them to the grocery store, to take them to Westside Community Services, making sure that they have lunch, making sure that there's no social isolation, making sure that the seniors are being heard so they can tell us, the young staff that have no idea what seniors need, to make sure that we're taking care of them. And so when you think about collective work and responsibility, that's it in a nutshell. That's what this community is. It's all of us. There's literally no liberation for one without liberation for all. And that is what a just transition is. And that's what the 7 principles of Kwanzaa are. Thank you.